happening, Miss. It's like everyone's here for their, own reasons, and I kind of know there's something for me like that is happening. Like I don't know, I see the truth of it.
Miz,
Okay,
how
well,
can you
like,
say that though? How do you know that there's not, millions more like JJ that are in? They're ready to join.
this is the way it is. There's going to be something that clicks for someone, and then they'll be able to see it. If it doesn't click, then all, and they don't want it to click, then it just builds more wall to the wall that they already have.
Mm. Yeah,
Walls within walls.
I
I
mean, I
mean,
think I think more and more people are starting to ask like some more serious. Again, it's only my take on it. I think if they just dropped flat Earth on everybody with no prior warning, like say we're just all going along in life, and then every news broadcast everywhere was that, everyone would just spin the fuck out. So
yes, they
they've
would,
done it
but it's not
gradually.
going to work that way. I mean, you think
No,
that flat Earth is the answer that will, the awakening you had will awaken other people, and it's not going to happen that way.
no, it might not, but it might eventually like come out, and don't be surprised if it does, and things do change drastically in our lifetimes. Like, don't be surprised.
I really
A lot of
wish you
people
could
have got this
see.
false sense of security. I think.
I really wish you could see that flat Earth is not what's going to do it, and it's really not. It's not even a tiny piece on the foundation of what's really going on in this world that people should wake up to. I mean,
Well, for a lot of
look at how
people,
people
it brought
fight
it all
over Trump
home.
and Biden, right?
Yeah, yeah. I guess because there's being lied to and there's being lied to, and so for me, it always brought it home that there's all this stuff happening on the earth, but we forgot the earth itself along the way, and if it's not what we've been told, like we deserve to know more about what's really going on, and that's what intrigues me because I've looked into all of it, mythology, philosophy, politics, all that stuff, science. And it's all just a big
There's
curtain hiding
right,
the fucking
but
truth.
but you're gonna have to look at it like this, Merle. There's knowledge that you don't have, and some of it you outright reject because you've got walls, right? And you see other people
Well,
do it without saying,
I used to believe in it all, miss, but I just I just think there's something else going on now. I just do.
trust me, I know. I mean, I told you I wound up leaning. It could be flat. They could be lying, and why I thought that because the one thing that I knew to myself, now I know I didn't know at all. So I was deceived, It
Yeah,
sucks
yeah,
finding out that you were fucking played a trick on.
yeah.
And that's exactly
I
what
know
religion
it can
was for
hit you
me.
hard. It hits
Yep.
people in different ways. But it gets better with time. It definitely does. It gets easier too.
But when you get down to the basis of this, let's say that it is really a lie and it's flat earth. It's not really gonna change anything for people. You need to tackle things that would, I mean, the shape of the earth is not going to change your life. It doesn't mind. I thought
I
it was a
guess that's
globe
the
and
thing. Like, yeah, it did mine. So maybe that's the kick up. I've always seen it like that's the kick up the arse I needed. That snapped me out of it, and I'll
right, but
always be
what
grateful
but
to
what
it
if
for
it
that.
what if you really traded it for a lie, Merle? Have you looked at it that way?
It made
What if
me
what
realize that so much of our lives are based on fantasy, ideas, concepts. It's all
right,
about escaping
there is a
reality,
lot
you
of
know?
them, but I think that the awakening that you got because I can see why you see what you see about flat earth. I can put myself in your position. It's easy for me to do so. I don't get offended by leaving one position to go to another. I try to put myself in another person's, but I was already there before, right? Because I started leaning. But that thing is not going to do it for everyone. Everyone has their own thing that's going to wake them up. Religion was mine. Religion was a lie. That's what, and it devastated me to the point I got suicidal, right? And for you, you see all these lies, and there is a lot of things. There is a lot of control. There is a lot of lies. There is a lot of people in higher power that other people want to act like they don't have any. But that the flat Earth is not going to do it for people, Merle. It might for a few, but they also believe in religion, so
Yeah.
they're already under a delusion anyway when it comes to
Yeah.
religion.
But don't you think
I
that the discernment that you gain from realizing a big lie like you did with religion, I mean, there's some discernment now that you have other things, that you're not just going to buy into things.
Right, and I'm crucified for that actually,
Right.
because
Which,
I do
just like
question
flat earthers
everything
are.
now. Right, but I question everything.
Right. And there's value in that. So that's the value in learning that it's not what they told us, right?
Right, but see, here's the thing: Merle questions everything except for flat Earth, and I see a problem with
no,
that.
trust me. I've questioned that. Like, New Perspective and I completely had our worlds flipped, and then we sat in real time with other human beings, and we all looked deep into ourselves and each other and the information, and we became the adult. We grew up.
Yeah. And Merle and I were just on here the other day saying flat earth is a psyop. Not that it's not true, but it's used as a psyop. So we're critical of flat earth and other flat earthers and fallacious
100.
claims that go along with it, you know?
I mean, I've sat here too many times with Merle going into his rants to believe what you're saying. He
Really?
defends
I hear
flat
him all the
Earth.
time saying that
So
it's
he
complicated.
defends it and then threatens people's lives when he gets mad.
I don't even think Merle
So
calls himself a flat earth.
Nah, far from it. Far from it.
Yeah, we're all kind of, you know, that's the thing is the whole topic has been completely misrepresented because the Earth isn't flat. Obviously, it's not a ball, but you know, it's got topography and all that. You know, so
yeah, but
it's just that
when you
it's not a shape.
outright deny that the sun is disappearing bottom up, and when you outright deny that you didn't say you can't use the sky to determine the shape of the earth, but the only way the celestial poles work, because I had someone working on models trying to make it fit over a flat earth, whether it was a concave shape of the stars, a flat shape, or a convex shape. I mean, we tried everything, and it
You
just
just haven't
wouldn't
talked to
work.
the right people. In fact, you haven't talked to me yet. Want me to post
What
something?
does
I'll
that
show you how it works.
The
I'll
celestial
show
poles
you. I'll
over a
show you
flat
exactly.
plane?
Yeah. In fact, this is one of
Show
the
me.
reasons that the guy that came up with this map. Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, because when I go to my images, sometimes you can't. E1 was part of our group that was coming back from a hiatus from Flat Earth because in 2016 he was suspicious there was some kind of controlled opposition going on within Flat Earth because they were denying the celestial poles or the southern celestial pole and or the southern celestial stars. And he came up with his model, and you know, I went through hours and hours of talking with him about how he came up with this. And maybe the continents could be depicted or picked apart as far as their actual placement. But actually, if he and I were talking about how the first thing we would mention in a debate is that the southern celestial stars actually debunk the globe. And Antarctica may be its own continent. And that's part of the other misinformation that's been planted in the flat earth lexicon. And then they'll
Okay, well,
someday go, oh, well, Antarctica is its own continent. That's proven. That means flat earth is over. It's not
you'll have,
around us 360 degrees.
you'll have to excuse me, but flat images isn't what I was talking about. I was talking about moving images. Hold on, I'll get you one.
Well, the southern
Just
celestial
don't act-
poles, southern celestial
it-
stars are a real thing. A lot of flat earthers try to claim it's a reflection, but I think they're a real thing. And they actually separate from each other 360 degrees, come back around and meet through the celestial equator and go east to west. Any flat earther that just says, oh, they go east to west is wrong, because they go in circular motions. And one goes counterclockwise and one goes clockwise, just like they seem.
No,
On a
they don't.
globe model, you have to believe they all go the right direction, the same direction, but that it's all about your perspective. Being upside down on the globe makes them seem like they go the opposite direction.
Which way
What if they
does
actually do go the opposite direction?
Do you see what I posted?
Ugh.
Not showing up.
Is it showing
Oh,
up for
I
anyone?
see it. I see it.
Yeah, I've
Maybe
seen
I have to
this.
fix it.
Miss, you got to stop looking at cartoons.
No, I don't. I need to.
That's
I
a
mean, if I'm gonna
cartoon,
do,
Miss. That's a
well, look what
cartoon, though.
look what he's posting. That's CGI.
Yeah.
So be ready, Merle.
All right. They can visually model it, though. It's not hard. Fuck's sake.
Well, what he's talking about, I need to see it moving like this to see if it will work over a flat plane. That's how it
It
works for
doesn't.
me.
Is that the one zoom? I can't really see it, but is that the same one that I've seen before with the zoom in? Probably is.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah,
At the equator. Like they show the
Mhm.
top side, then the bottom side, then the equator.
You'll never see what you want, Miss, because it can't happen.
I don't have the gifts that were the flat models that we tried because I lost my other account. So I had to re-get this from Soundly.
Of course it can
What New
happen.
Perspective posted, that's absolute horseshit and does not explain what we see.
It
Okay,
needs
well,
to work in
you
reality.
can do some specific criticisms rather than just it's not what we see.
Yeah, if I can have some time to talk, absolutely I can. I don't
ahead.
know that that's gonna happen though.
I haven't cut you off.
Go
All
on.
right. Well, let's take a look at the most recent image, the bottom one that you posted. Now, forget we don't have to worry about the continents themselves and pick on that and how ridiculous that is. What is that supposed to represent? What are these black lines?
The star trails.
Okay, so they move around with you.
No, it's star trails that are adjacent to each other in the sky, wrapping around the celestial sphere with a dielectric plane in the middle.
All right, that's Ken Wheeler nonsense. But the point is, look where you're showing. Well, for one, you don't have circles. You've got something close to a circle, with the smallest, radius and what the fuck is that? The
I'll show you how
axis
this is
with an
built. This
ellipse
isn't
and
my
all that kind of shit.
not my map. I'll also post some other stuff, kind of a progression
Okay,
of what he made.
can you do me a huge favor?
Mhm.
Stop saying, "Well, it's not my map." When it's something that you posted that's supposed to be an explanation, can you at least
I just
own
wanted to give
what
credit
you
where credit
post?
is due. That's all.
If you're gonna claim, hey, I can show you, then own what you post, please. Is that fair?
I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. I'm just saying I wanted to give credit where credit is due.
All right, but you're also not able to explain what you're giving credit to. That does not work. That is not how we see things. I mean, how else does it need to be explained? Do you
It is
think
how
that
we
is
see
how
things.
we see things?
Yeah, it is.
Well, Merle, no offense, but you know what's coming.
You can see the progression of how he built it just in the ones I posted.
I don't. That's wonderful. Progression. Progression to what? It's a
Well, you
progression
can
of
see that
nonsense.
he's got the sun paths, and then he's got the stars, and it's just to make it easier to kind of look. If you're going to critique it, you can look at the separate parts of it.
What do you think of this, Ms.?
I'm looking at the middle picture and the top picture, and well, the three of them, and I'm looking at the land masses. I mean, what's your name again? Sorry, I didn't see your name.
New perspective.
New perspective. Have you done measurements to see if the continents would match up that way by how
No, I
people
haven't.
travel?
Mm-mm.
Why wouldn't
There was
Why
actually
wouldn't
a
you fact check them?
well that's something that but you'd have to go through and that's just a rough drawing of it, obviously. So you'd have
Well,
to actually have the full map of it. But the idea for the star trails is what I'm getting at. There's two celestial star trails. That one going clockwise and one going counterclockwise, just like thermodynamics works. Like when you put the shavings on a piece of paper and you have a pole, the dipole, you see that pattern that they make. The shavings, you've seen that before. That's the same thing
Okay,
that stars are doing. Possibly.
your last image. We did a 3D model similar to the one up above, like Sally made. That was just like that. And Curve, do you remember me posting that? That it was a view from the equator. We went
Yeah,
downstairs
vaguely,
to this
vaguely.
place, and you explained to me why that was not working.
I don't know. I'd have
Gosh,
to see what you were working on.
I wish
I don't
the
know.
chat hadn't have been deleted. Well, the chat was deleted, so I can't go back in time and grab it from here either. But it was made just like your bottom image, and it
Okay.
didn't work.
Okay. Maybe it does.
It's
I'd have to see what you're working on. Maybe make some
it
corrections,
winds up
whatever.
it winds up smushing and spreading the stars in a way that we don't see them in reality.
Well, they do actually converge and diverge through the celestial equator, and even stellarium shows that. And the only way
Yes,
that would happen, and it doesn't happen that way all the way through, like some people might claim, but it only happens in one area, and if for it to happen in all areas, the way that some ballers like to claim, the stars would have to be a lot closer. The fact that you claim that they're infinitely far away, and then they're diverging and converging, even in stellarium showing that, then there has to be a reason for that, and this could be an answer for that reason.
no,
Stellarium's not
Stellarium
showing what you're claiming it shows and presenting here.
no, it's not.
I was in an argument with some flat earthers and a bunch of ballers, and the ballers that were there at least admitted to that. They did see that stellarium does have them converging and diverging.
I'm not responsible for their ignorance.
Well, you can look for yourself.
The other aspect of
I
your
do.
pictures is you do have Antarctica as a solid continent in one spot rather than an ice wall, don't you?
Right. That's one of the arguments that guy who did this map was leaving the flat Earth discussion to figure out, because he said, "Well, I don't think that Antarctica is surrounding us 360 degrees. I think that's a fallacious claim. Could be a red herring that they're setting up to try to destroy flat Earth at some point, because that claim could be proven wrong. What if Antarctica is its own little continent? We could still have land surrounding us. Doesn't mean that it has to be Antarctica."
We were very much like that, right? Like we hadn't arrived on any particular set in concrete Earth, right? We didn't have that definitive wax seal or anything, did we?
Right. No. And we suspected that there was definitely some disinformation or misinformation, for whatever reason, going around through the flat Earth groups.
You've also got the Pacific Ocean east to west being huge compared to this Atlantic Ocean in a manner that's not representative of actual navigation.
Right.
Do we need to pick out individual things? That map is a fucking mess. There's
Yeah,
no
it is.
way you can claim that that's accurate
At least you hope
in any
not.
real way.
At least you hope
Yeah,
there's no
but
way.
yeah, the celestial stuff's interesting though. The way he's visually represented that, it's good, man.
Absolutely.
No, Merle laughed at what Ms. posted. Merle tried to
know.
mock it and ridicule it. Yet there's no
Just 'cause he's seen
critique
it
of
before.
what Ms. Yet there's no critique of what Ms. posted. Nothing logical or rational or fact-based. New perspective. Do you know which image I'm talking about? The gift that she posted.
Yeah, I've seen that before.
Can you break that down and tell us what's wrong with it? Because to all of us,
I didn't say there was anything wrong with it.
You don't see anything wrong with that.
With the one that she
No,
posted?
you'd see
Yeah.
Okay,
you'd
so
see
she's got
exactly the same thing. If you were at the
basically
South Pole, you'd see it
stars
revolve.
surrounding a sphere, and you see nothing wrong with that.
Well, just
No,
that
but
it's
look,
not reality, but otherwise it looks like what your
What do you?
what
Okay,
your
What's not
reality
explain.
real
needs to
about it?
be.
What's not
Explain that.
real?
Well, we're not on a ball.
Okay,
Tell
that's
me that.
Plain,
my
it's pretty
position.
simple. We're not on a
Uh-uh.
ball, so
Circularity.
it has to work on a flat Earth.
So that's your only argument is that it's not a ball,
Well, that's pretty obvious.
even though the stars work perfectly to reality.
Well, you see how close the stars are? I mean, I know it's not to scale, but that's how close they are. I mean, you have to, think of it as that close for this.
You don't
I
have
You
to
mean,
go
I
want
that
to
know
far.
see
that
it all in one
they're
image?
infinitely
Yeah.
far away.
Come on, that's
It
a
would
piss
be.
poor fucking childish goddamn
Well,
argument.
you're asking me
You know it.
to find something wrong with it. I'd say that's one thing.
But
But
I
I
mean,
know
you're
it's not
not even looking at it in reality. If you're on the Earth, it would appear to be that far from you because you
Mm.
And
can't
also,
see the distance with your
The Earth
eyes.
isn't moving, you guys. I'm sorry. The Earth doesn't move.
I didn't say anything about the Earth moving.
Let the
Well, it
stars
has to move.
move. What's wrong with the mapping of it?
Well, because the stars are moving, not the Earth.
Let the stars move. I don't care. I'm talking about the shape of the earth
Okay.
with
Well,
you
that's
right
not how
now.
it's supposed to work. We're supposed to be the ones
If
moving.
you look at that gift, the Earth is not moving in it, so you're
Pussy.
making up something that's not even there.
you are.
Yeah, but in reality, it's supposed to be the Earth moving. So you were
Well,
asking for criticism of it.
well,
You're bringing in things that's not there. The Earth is not moving. Only the stars are.
Well, that's not what you guys think.
That
you can't.
doesn't matter what's in that gift.
Well, what are
right?
you
You
asking?
can't.
In that gift, the Earth is not
Yeah,
moving. Only the
Yeah,
stars
but
are.
that's not what you believe, though. You think the Earth is moving, right?
I never said if it moved or not, and that's not the argument. Stop dragging in something that's not a
I
part of
don't know.
this argument.
I thought you were asking for criticism of the gift. I was
Well,
just trying to find something.
You're
Miss,
strawmanning. You're attacking
there's a
something that was
way.
there.
There's a way to break it. Okay, there is. Do you want to know, or should I not say?
Go ahead.
So that they're both above.
What do you mean? What's both above?
The celestial poles.
Okay, I know that.
So that's impossible on a globe.
Thanks, Mel. That's brilliant.
Well,
How
no,
do
it
you have
isn't.
two celestial poles in the
That
sky on a
exact laugh
globe?
was in my head.
Oh, pal. Oh, Mel.
Explain it to me, guys.
God. Do
Think
you
about
not
it for a
realize?
Mel.
Look,
What does
Mo,
the
I have. I tried it. We tried modeling it
second.
in several
So
different ways
so you're
over
at
a
the
flat
South Pole,
plane.
right? No, hang on, miss. It's easy. You're at the South Pole, right? And you look straight up, and there's the South Star, Sigma Octantis above you, right?
Yep.
And then you stand at the North Pole, and you look up, and there's Polaris.
Yep.
Do you notice something?
Yes, they're
You're
up.
standing up. You're
No matter
standing
where you
upright
are
in
on the
both
earth, you're
locations,
looking up.
looking up.
No matter
You're
where
standing
you are on the
upright
earth,
too.
you're looking up.
You're standing
Mel, can we?
upright, and you're looking up. None
I
of
just
you
said
can
that, Mo.
escape that. Well, none of you can escape that, and you need to address it right now.
No matter where
No.
you are
Yeah.
on a ball, you would be looking up.
Did you reset last night,
Really?
Merle?
Really?
Yes, Mo.
Explain.
No matter where you're on a ball, with your feet on the ball, no matter where you place, act like you got a doll and a ball, and put that doll on it with its feet on it. No matter where it's at on that ball, it would have to look up.
Yeah.
But
Besides that point,
someone
Miss,
would
I
be
don't know if
upside
I heard
down.
right. Miss, did I
Someone
hear
would be
right that
upside down.
was I hearing right that Miss is on the fence or something now? She's thinking it might not be a ball. Is that what you were saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
Hang on for a second. On a ball, how many people do you need to look up versus on a flat plane to look up?
Everybody in both models can look up. What a stupid question.
Right.
No, not
Well,
everybody. The question is how many people. The question is
let me
how
point out
many
another.
people on the ball do you need to look up versus on a
6.
plane to look up?
3.
To do what?
To
Why
accomplish
do you need
what?
people to look up?
That's one good
Okay,
question.
so
Three. That's one good answer, which is 3. But really, let's bring it down to 2 physical.
Merle, you know how their model says that no matter where you are, you're always looking up because it's a ball, right? But let's get on beyond that, okay?
What?
But
I
how
think
many
that
people
Mist,
on the ball?
I would like to ask Mist real quick. Mist, do you know like the speed that they say the sun goes through the sky?
I know this, yes, I do know the speeds, and I know that it sounds like it's extremely fast, but there's no wind, right?
Okay, no,
That's
I'm
number
just
one.
asking if you know that. Okay, so
What,
it's about
what
500,000
difference
miles,
does
per hour,
this
half a
make?
million miles per hour. Regardless,
Why
just
are you
please don't cut me
deflecting
off.
like this?
I'm gonna see if there's some logic that might be,
Why are you
missing in the
deflecting?
whole thing real quick. If you don't mind, Miss. So if you
Why
know
are you
that that's
deflecting?
going on, if that's moving
Obviously, I'm
500,000
not.
miles per hour in the sun, and then you have one, so this depiction that you put in that GIF, if there was just the rotation of the Earth, then that's possible. I mean, except for the fact that we're not on a ball, we're not upside down, right side up, and all that kind of stuff doesn't make a whole lot of common sense because we don't experience that. But if you're talking about one motion, which is the rotation on the axis, right? Then we have the orbit around the sun, right? Which is another motion in another direction. It's also a different direction. And then we have the sun pulling us along with it at 500,000 miles per hour. That's just 3 right there. So we're talking 3 separate directions. Now, vector math may make it seem like one smooth motion, and you can justify that we wouldn't feel it. But
You
think
can.
about the star trails. I know that that you have to accept that the star trails would look like the GIF depicts, right? You have to accept that all those motions are going on, and we're still getting those perfect concentric circles. And the only
Yeah.
way for that to be possible in the ball model, which is a stretch of the imagination, is because they're so far away that even though we're going all these different motions, different directions, and different speeds, it still looks like perfectly concentric circles,
It
no
will do
matter
because there's a
what.
rotation.
It's perfect. Like if
You
you jar the
stop.
camera when you're doing one of those
Stop.
time elapse photography, if you just bump the camera a little bit, your whole thing has streaks of stars. It messes it all up. So you're talking different directions and thousands and thousands and thousands of miles per hour in different directions, and it
Yeah.
makes no difference with these circular patterns of the stars. Does
Yeah.
that make a lot
Listen,
of
dude,
sense
you're
just
full of
on the
shit. How
surface
long
there?
are you gonna take to finish this lie?
Calm
I know
down.
it
It's
bothers
not
you.
a lie. It's not a lie.
The bottom line
Fuck.
is you do understand, yeah, that it's equivalent to you looking at the moon, yeah, and moving your position on the Earth, yeah. The moon is so far away that any motion you have on the Earth doesn't really affect your angle to the moon if you stay in the same line. Secondly, okay, the motion of the sun, or the Earth around the sun, is characterized by the fact that in astrology, different constellations arise at sunset and sunrise, yeah, throughout the year, which clearly indicates that the sun, our position around the sun, is changing over a period of time. You're as dumb as a box of frogs, new perspective. You really are.
No, not really.
Not
Actually, I'm
Yes,
really.
just
you are.
pointing
Not
out a
really.
common. I'm just pointing
Absolutely.
out a common sense premise.
Not
I'm just
really.
saying there's some common sense things that this doesn't answer. And if you include all those different directions and speeds, to think that those stars would just make that one circular pattern so evenly, just like if you bump that camera just a little bit, what's that compared to all these different directions and speeds that we're going?
Nothing. It's
Hold,
massive
The,
compared.
look at
hold
the
You
on.
know
problem.
what?
Hold on,
The
hold
problem.
on, hold on,
Oh,
hold on,
go ahead,
hold
Derek.
on.
Go ahead.
Everybody hold fucking on. This little fucking bullshit lie that he's introducing here, this has to do
Not a
with
lie.
change. Shut up, Merle. Calm yourself down. Now, new perspective. There is a huge difference between when you bump the camera and how far you move the camera versus the effect of an angular change in moving the camera. You can move your camera side to side. If you don't change your angle, really, you're not going to get the effect that you're describing. The massive difference in blurring and all that kind of shit is not going to come from the speed, from moving basically parallel to the field of view. You're going to get that from an angle change because you can make a huge difference with a
Oh, so
tiny
there's
little
no angle
angle
change.
change. Hold on. You can do that with a little angle change of the camera that you're not going to get out of a distance change, like with the speed of the Earth compared to the distance of the stars. You know exactly what the lie is and what you're promoting right now.
I'm not lying. I'm just pointing out the logical
Okay, then you're
inconsistency.
retarded and you're dead wrong. So own
No,
that.
I don't
No,
think retarded is the right word for it.
no.
Well, I don't
Absolutely.
think it is logical, though, because the logical thing is that you're debunking our model with this. You're working from
Yeah, I
within
know I
our
did.
model. Can I finish?
I know.
Well, you're aiming to say this claim, this mainstream claim can't be true, because if it was, the result would be different, and we would see that different result in the stars, right?
I'm saying that it would seem to. Yeah, that I was
But
just pointing out
but
from this, if she's on the fence, that
but the,
there's one thing that really, common sense, maybe you haven't worked out. I haven't seen a GIF that depicts all the different
but,
motions with
but
the
the
circular
problem is,
patterns working just like that. I'd like to see that GIF. But I'm just
but
saying
the,
for her, she might think twice if she thinks about all those motions.
But the problem is with that line of thinking is what you're saying is working from within our model, where we have an advertised distance to each star, and we have an advertised distance that the Earth will move within any given time. So it's entirely possible for you to calculate exactly what we should see given those parameters. That is, how far the thing is away and how far you've moved with respect to it. And what you guys do is you don't bother to do that calculation. You just tell us what your feelings are of what that calculation would be if you did it, but you never actually bother to do it. And so any claim that you make on what you should or should not be seeing is really dishonest, because you have the means to make the claim honestly, and you prefer not to. You just go with what you feel should be the case.
It's not really about being honest or dishonest. It's about, I was just saying to Miss, since she's on the fence, that this is one of the things that you'll hear the flat earthers
So you're just
talk
going to
about.
repeat the claim and not respond to what I said whatsoever?
No, I haven't even finished it. How would you know what I'm going to say?
Why don't you make the calculation? Why do you just say, well, this is what I think should happen? Why don't you say, here are my calculations and this is what should happen?
So do you think there's a way to do that?
Well, don't
I'd like
you?
to see that calculation. If you guys haven't
Well,
worked out,
so you think if you know the distance to something and you know how far you move and in which direction with respect to that thing, you can't make any calculation on what you'd expect to see as a result of that movement. You think that that's impossible to do?
It's not that I couldn't do it. It's just something I haven't done. It's just one of the things I was pointing out to Miss on the fence.
Right, it's something you haven't
I don't know if
done.
she can explain it. If it already makes sense to her, like she put this GIF in there as if, this doesn't work on a flat Earth, but it works on a globe. But has she even thought about all those different directions? Would it still work on a globe?
Has she even thought about people? Has she even thought about people making mathematical claims that haven't done the maths? Saying this should move more than it does, and I know this because I haven't bothered to calculate it.
That's not what I said at all. I said it would seem.
Okay, how do you calculate
that's just what I would think. No, I haven't. I'm saying that this is something that if
what
you
you
think
would
about
think.
it, on a certain,
But
I mean, you might have.
why are we relying? Why are we relying? Why are we relying on what you should think, what you think, when we could rely on what you could calculate, or what each of us could calculate?
If calculations do it for you, that's fine.
Well, calculations are the only way, aren't they? What you're saying is what we should see is different to what we actually see. Stuff should move more. These are calculations that you're making in your mind. You're not basing them on any maths, but they are still calculations. So that is the only way. The only way we have to figure out an answer to this, how much a thing should move, is by making calculations. There is no other way.
So wait, Jim, can you just explain to me how it works without like the calculations part of it, but like explain how all the different motions and speeds and distances could be going on with those stars still staying fixed with each other?
Why would I do that?
That is just like a common sense way of like conversation, or do you have to just like say, oh, the calculations work and do the numbers, and the numbers make it seem like it would work? So that's fine.
I didn't say that. But I didn't say that. That's a lie. I didn't say that. That's you again not listening. My point is, I'll say it again. Your claim is these things should move more. My response to that is you can calculate how much they should move, and you don't. You don't bother to do that. You just say, I think they should move more. My guess, my complete and utter guess, because there's no intuition on how far on these distances, on observing these things at distances, is that this isn't something you know intuitively. You just have to guess it. And, well, you don't have to guess it. You choose to guess it when you could actually calculate it. And that's why your claim is dishonest.
I wasn't actually making a claim. I was just pointing out to Miss
you
that
were.
she's on the fence. This is something that doesn't seem to make sense. Maybe they have the calculations that would make it make sense to you, but you might want to look at that if it doesn't seem to make sense. You know, I mean, I have a lot of other things that I've looked
Okay, well,
into,
you
but
might
I
want
don't
to
need
look at
this
it. Again, well, why
calculation
don't
to
you take
convince
your own
me.
advice? Why don't you take your own advice? This is typical flat eartherism, isn't it?
Okay,
You,
sure,
what
maybe.
you've done is,
Fair
can I finish? I'm still talking, dude. You say, this doesn't make sense to me. You might want to look into it as a thing that doesn't make sense. You haven't gone any further than that. You know, and it doesn't make sense to me, so therefore it's a thing that doesn't make sense. You, miss, can add this to your list of things that doesn't make sense. You haven't tried to make sense of it. You haven't
I was
done
just saying
nothing.
she might want to
You
check
go,
it
oh,
out.
this doesn't seem
That
quite right. It
really
must be
bothers me.
wrong.
Yeah, Miss, maybe you could tell from how mad they're getting that this is actually a pretty good argument.
Oh no, because you keep saying things that he didn't say. You're not really addressing what he is saying, and you're throwing mathematical equations out the window.
Mm.
No, not at all. I'm saying maybe the calculations are convincing, and it could be convincing to me if I were to look into it. I'm just saying on the surface,
You haven't
this is
looked
one of
into
those
it.
things that kind of stands out as like,
It's
that doesn't
not
seem to
about
make
the
it. How do they
maths.
So
work
do you
that out?
think that it,
Yeah,
That's
do
all
you
I'm
think
it's
that
got
saying.
it,
nothing to do
do
So
with
you
the
a
think
maths.
that
thing that by your own admission you haven't inquired into properly is something that people should look at. Okay.
Fair enough. I mean, hey, maybe it perfectly works out with the calculations, and I
Yeah.
haven't done that, so that's fine. I'll take that
Yeah.
criticism.
Maybe it does.
don't you think that maybe that's why it doesn't make sense, because you don't have that knowledge?
I doubt it, but maybe, yeah.
I mean, couldn't you know something and then you come across new knowledge and it changes what you thought the first time? Because now you have
Absolutely. I
more
used to totally think I was on a spinning ball. Totally.
knowledge. Okay. Have you went through and tested all these things instead of trying to look at it like a flat earth, see if any of the globe earth things actually add up?
Yeah,
I'm in a
we
garage
used to
now. Can
go
you hear
and
me
talk.
still?
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
used to go
We
and
still hear you.
You guys have accepted now at this point, at least, that no flat earther ever wanted to be a flat earther, right? Like
No,
I was
don't
hoping it
accept
was a
that.
ball.
I
Every
think that's
flat earther, it really did not want to become a flat earther. It's not like a great thing that anyone looks forward
I
to.
don't believe that
So
for a minute.
just like
well,
the claim that we want it to be flat is really kind of fallacious and just
I
wrong at
think
this
that
point. If
No,
you've
it's
been in the
that's
not.
not.
I think
conversation
you
for a little while.
absolutely want it to be flat. You have to want it to be flat. You desperately want it to be flat.
I think once you come across flat earth
That's
and you see
ridiculous.
that
No, that's
excuse me, I'm talking. I think that once you start watching the things that the flat earthers show and it starts clicking with you, it starts making sense. Then after that, you don't want to look back.
that's not true. But Miss,
No.
it doesn't sound like you're on the fence, really.
Of course I am, because everyone here knows that without me being able to say I know what shape it is, I have to go up there and look back at it. I'm not going to claim something I don't know, because that would be a lie.
Hmm.
Whereas flat earthers say they know it's not a globe.
I think another logical argument might be that if we really were on a spinning ball with all those motions going on, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
Yeah, but you can't tell us why.
People
Not a
argue
correct
the stupidest things, so
Have
of
you-
course we would be having this conversation.
It seems like that would be obvious. There'd be tons of ways to know that for sure.
Have you heard of the anthropic principle?
I'm in a hallway here. Go ahead.
Well, it's the idea that we're evolved to our environment, aren't we? So The idea that there is some form of environment that could make us not exist as a result of a long line of evolution doesn't really make sense, because things evolved to live in the environment that the population lives in. Do you get the point? Does anybody get the point I'm trying to make? Not very well.
I don't.
Well, he's saying that there could be a situation, a set of parameters relating to the Earth that would result in the non-existence of the human race, I think is his argument, isn't it?
Are you talking about me?
Mm.
I don't think I said anything like that.
Okay, what is your argument?
I just said that if I think that if we were on a spinning ball with all those motions going on, that the chance of it actually just seeming like it's a stationary plane that's crazy that happens.
Well, you said we
to
wouldn't be here, is what you said, right?
Oh no, that we wouldn't be here having this conversation is what I meant.
Right. So
because the conversation would only happen. Would you guys at least agree that if it actually is a stationary plane, if it is a stationary plane, let's just say we found out it was.
We would exist.
No, it wasn't about existence. It was about us having the conversation.
I know, and that's why I have to speak for you, because you can't understand what Jim's saying and just give him the simple response, dude. Because you're too busy.
Okay, so we would exist. We would exist, but we just wouldn't be having the conversation. Is that what you're saying?
Well, just the Goldilocks zone, where you have to accept that the chances of us being in this Goldilocks zone, are infinitesimally small, but lucky enough we're in that Goldilocks zone. But the Goldilocks thinking then has to go along with all of these other things that just make it seem like we're on a stationary Earth, even though it's the opposite of that. And that is pretty crazy that that's the case.
Well, that's because you ignore all the things that tell you you're on a moving Earth and misinterpret other ones that, like we've just seen. You've decided, just decided arbitrarily that if the claims that were made about distances to the stars and the motion of the Earth, that what we see in the sky would be different. You didn't bother to calculate it. You just made up a story for yourself. And now you've got a thing that's apparently anomalous and that we just shouldn't have to discuss. Well, that's because you made it up. It's not because it's a real thing in reality. It's just some thoughts of yours.
No,
they don't change reality, dude.
I'm just philosophizing. I'm not making any claims. Just philosophizing about how it's a pretty crazy thing that it would actually seem the opposite of what it is because of all these Goldilocks chances being just the right way.
It's just like I didn't speak.
Oh my God. Dude, have you actually done any research on this, Goldilocks zone and the elliptical orbit of the Earth around the fucking sun and how, it's not just this one little bitty area. It's actually a pretty fucking, wide area that would give chance for life to, come into existence.
Pretty wide area.
Well, that chance is
right?
one.
But intelligent life can only ever be in a situation where it appears that there's this perfect storm that's come about for it to exist. That there is no other possibility. All intelligent life would be in this state, right? Because in order for there to be intelligent life, there have to be millions and millions of years of evolution. And for that to be the case, some of these things have to be in place. There has to be water. There has to be not too much radiation. All of these other things have to be occurring.
GemPanda, you and I go way back. I don't know if we've talked a couple of times recently, but we go way back. And I remember you saying at one point, if it turns out to be flat, then this or that, And when you said that, I'm like, well, if he's so sure, why would he even say if it turns out to be flat? But let me just ask you, if it turns out,
what my argument was.
Well, regardless, if it does turn out to be flat, at least you're open to the idea that it could be, because
I'm not.
that's
I don't
obviously
think
a
regardless,
possibility.
I'm
Why
not
would
open
we
to
have
the
this
idea that it
conversation
could be in any way. I think that's ridiculous.
anyway?
It couldn't. No possible
It
way.
either
But
is
go ahead.
flat or it's not, right? It either is a ball or a stationary plane, and we have to at least understand that that's a possibility. And why would we be having this conversation? Why would you spend your time arguing with people if it's not even a possibility that they're right?
Because I think arguing is entertaining for one thing, and I think that flat Earth represents a greater problem that of just twisted illogical thinking and the spread of misinformation via the internet. I think it shows us these greater problems that I think are becoming greater. That used to be just reserved for ridiculous ideas on dark corners of the internet like flat Earth, and now
Why would it be dangerous?
Well, because if you're the sort of person that engages in this fucked up conspiratorial thinking, and then you manage to get yourself elected on the basis of it, that can be dangerous.
Well, what if it's not just conspiratorial thinking?
Not only do you believe things that aren't true, but you don't really have a good means in place for separating truth from fiction.
But I think
for those people, the lines are very blurred, I think, and that's dangerous.
It is fascinating, right? It is fascinating that it does seem like a stationary plane, and that our experience would tell us that. But that if it's the opposite, that's a fascinating topic, regardless of conspiracy. I mean, if it turns out that it's a ball, and not all you're right about all the calculations, and we're on a ball, and that was just a lot of people are learning about the different aspects of this topic that would never have learned about it before, so that part of it's good. Also, just the fact that it is a fascinating thing, that it seems like it's the opposite of what it actually is.
But I don't think that's true.
The way you're phrasing that is wrong.
Go ahead, Pierre. Go ahead.
You can tell that we can tell by looking, at the sun and the moon and the stars. Something is moving, but without further investigation, moving or the earth is moving. Something is fucking moving. So the way you keep phrasing that is actually wrong, dude.
Well, yeah, if you take the observation as part of your experience, I guess that could be a strong point for your side. But I think that it's a very strong point that we experience a stationary, motionless, that's redundant, but a motionless.
We don't, because all of our collective experiences tells us something is moving. Without further investigation, we don't know which one.
Yeah, we don't feel the movement, so I would suspect it's not.
Okay, that's not the only way you experience things is through just movement.
It's true. You can call your observation
sight, touch, feel, smell, all of those things go into our collective experience, and you keep leaving out one of those experiences, which is the things that we.
You can smell the spinning ball now, or is that what you're trying to say?
That isn't what the fuck I said, asshole. If you wouldn't have interrupted while I was finishing up, I would have told you. You leaving out what we see is one of those experiences. Therefore, you're trying to say that, well, what we experience is completely opposite. No, we just can't tell which one's moving.
Well, it's fascinating.
We experience something.
The interpretation of what you see in the sky is strong enough for you to just say that it doesn't matter if you don't feel it. It's what I see. It matters more.
I didn't say it either. Didn't fucking say that either.
All right. Well,
we know what one's moving. We know what one's moving.
Why do you keep putting words in
photos
people?
and videos from space. We know what one's moving. We know we're rotating. There's plenty of evidence out there. Photos,
That's the
videos.
weakest evidence.
This dude's nuts.
I thought you were saying you weren't making claims.
That's the weakest evidence, Queen. The pictures
I'll
from
make
space.
those claims. I'll make those claims. You can look at the photos. You can see the Earth actually rotating. M-Toon's got a video of it, right?
We've got
You
pictures
actually
from
see it
space.
rotating, right?
Yeah, you can see it from the outside.
So is it reasonable? Is it reasonable to just dismiss all the evidence and go, oh, but it feels like I'm not moving? When you go on a plane, do you feel like you're going 700 kilometers an hour?
No, it's not reasonable to dismiss all the
ridiculous.
evidence outright. No, it's not
when
fair
you
to
first
dismiss
take
all
off,
the evidence outright. critically looking at it,
only mentally
definitely
ill
doesn't
people
seem like
think
we're on
that
a
the Earth
spinning
is
ball,
flat.
but
Unfortunately,
taking all the evidence.
So all the flat earthers are mentally ill. Is that what you're saying, Queen? Millions of people.
100%. 100.
As
There's
if
not millions of flat
they're
earthers,
all
but yeah, 100%.
crazy.
Every one of you
What are the
has got
heliocentrists
mental
then?
issues.
What are the heliocentrists? Have they got mental issues too, Queen?
Some
No,
of
they're
us.
just normal people, aren't they? Because they believe in the evidence. They know that we've gone to space. They believe in the photos, the mountains
Hey,
of
Merle.
evidence.
Likely story.
Yeah,
Keep
Merle.
talking over me,
Some of
though,
us
guys.
actually do.
Very telling.
There's
Yeah,
no
some of us
mentally
have mental
But
illnesses.
Merle, answer your question. Yes, the people have mental illness all the time, but some of us actually, trust doctors and shit enough and want to get help. So we actually go and seek and get that help that we need.
If you went to a doctor, let me ask you this question. If you went to a doctor, he told you you were dizzy, take these pills, you're dizzy, but you knew that you weren't dizzy, would you take the pills?
Why do you think you should be dizzy? Well, because you think we're rotating so fast, so you should be spinning out.
I didn't go to a doctor and say that I'm, tell them that I'm not dizzy, and he's like, "Oh, you're dizzy." No, I went there knowing that I had a problem and sought help for that problem.
It was just a
And
thought
when the
exercise.
medication helps, you keep using it.
If he told you you were dizzy to take these pills because you're dizzy, and you knew you weren't, would you still take the pills? That's
This is a weird. This is a weird.
Why would he tell you you're dizzy?
Weird deflection.
Yeah.
Why would a professional
Well, if
doctor
you were on
tell
a
you you're
spinning ball,
dizzy?
you'd definitely be dizzy.
It's just spinning.
This is just a weird deflection, right? We've gone from photos and videos. We're just going to deflect from that, and all of a sudden we're at the doctor's saying we're dizzy. So
Why
weird.
would a professional doctor tell you that? What reason would he have to tell you that?
I don't know. Maybe you were like, "Wait, I'm not dizzy," and then you're like, "No,
You just
you've
bring
been
up
dizzy
weird
your whole life."
situations. You
Just
bring up
dizzy your whole life.
you bring up weird situations to try and back up or parallel your weird claims.
Do you mean something like you test positive for COVID and they tell you that you're sick? Is that what you mean? But you don't
No,
feel
I'm
like
just
you're
making a point that
It's another
if you knew you
close-minded
weren't
analogy.
dizzy, you wouldn't
It's
take
just
the pill.
deflecting from the actual topic.
It's just it's another close-minded analogy.
like you're gonna have to come up with
It's
something
supposed to
better.
be kind of
Are you
funny,
trying to say
but
that
that's fine.
they're gaslighting you?
Yeah, everyone's
do you want-
crazy. Deal with
Do you
it.
want to change it to if you go to the doctor and he tells you you're depressed and you don't think you're depressed? I'll answer that one.
Okay,
What
go
does
ahead.
that got
Instead
to
of
do with
busy?
this topic, though? Are you saying you're being gaslit?
Enough.
The
Did you
whole
say it?
the whole
I wanna hear
doctor
about the
analogy
depression.
is a bad one.
Oh, Aaron
Did you just-
Armstrong
This is
says,
weird.
hold on. Aaron Armstrong says, get a doctor to fix your stutter, Patrick. Thank you very much for the super chat, Aaron.
Thank you,
Sharon,
Aaron.
but thanks for the yellow bowl.
Did you just say it doesn't when I asked you what does it
Yes.
have to do with
A
the
little
topic?
more for the bowl.
Perspective.
Huh? What's that?
Did you just say it doesn't when I asked you what does this got to do with the topic?
No, I didn't say that.
So what does this doctor analogy have to do with the topic?
If you trust, we can move on beyond that. It was just kind of one of those things.
We should move on. It's a
It's
bad
just a
analogy.
deflection from the topic I brought up.
There's an interesting thing someone just brought up about being depressed and didn't feel depressed, but the doctor says he was. I want to
So
hear
what?
about that. Go ahead.
It's got nothing to do with the shape of the Earth.
Nothing to do with the shape of the Earth, dude.
Let's go back.
Let's talk
It's
about
a-
the
Let's
You want to
go
run
back
away
to
from
the photos and the video and all that shit that we.
You
we know which
want to
one it
run
is.
away.
From space.
You want to run away from the subject because what? You
No,
can't
not at
handle
all. No, that wasn't
it. Well,
it.
then why are you bringing up the doctor?
I brought up the topic, and I was
Why
trying to
on
give them a
space
chance to
potato
explain
you
it.
do?
But that's fine if you don't want to talk about it.
You're not going to like my answer, champ, so don't.
Okay, champ, what's your answer?
I have
Videos,
no
photos
bias
from
toward the
space,
answer. Go ahead, tell
space
me.
rockets.
I don't like your
No, no.
answers because they're not well. I don't like your answers because they're not well thought out, and they're terrible analogies that you're
No.
using. That's why I don't like your answers, and they're wrong too.
This is another. This is
The cow jumped over the moon.
See, another bad analogy. Someone's got a bad mic, by the way.
Someone's
Isn't that-
roboting. I think it's
Someone's got a dodgy connection. I see Brad Boy lighting up, but don't hear him as well.
Anyway,
Oh, it's
nice
roboting.
deflection from the photos and videos of a spinning planet from space. Nice one.
Can't
Well,
believe
did
you
you
always
see
bring that up
The
first.
trump card, Merle. It really
What?
demolishes
What?
everything you've got. It demolishes all
No.
I
your
bring it up.
arguments,
I
really.
bring it up,
Wait,
Pearl,
wait,
because
It's
I'm
quite.
not like
It's
you.
so simple.
Are you trying to say
Wait,
pictures from
never got
space
off the
demolishes an
track.
argument? Like
Saw
we're
them.
supposed to
I'll
believe
tell you
this
why I
lightning
bring it
all
up. If you want
from those
to
images?
listen, I'll tell you why I bring it up. I'll tell you why I bring it up, because I'm not an altard that goes into the weeds of fucking two sticks that was done 2,000 years ago, right? Like, we're 2022, dude.
Yeah,
If you don't know the world
yeah.
is a spinning planet, you're fucking mentally ill. That's just
Wait,
facts.
Merle, did they have believable spinning ball pictures? Is that what they showed you?
Yeah, there's a video, dude. I just
Um,
explained it to you.
No,
Go over to
show it to it. Post it. I'd love to see it because I've never seen one that looks real.
It's been posted in the chat, dude. Pay attention. Everett posted it twice. And you can go over to M Toon's channel and see it and see exactly how they come to understand where the fuck we live, right? With satellites, imagery, yeah, photos, pictures, space rockets, dude. It's 2022, dude.
I know. It does it for most
Okay,
people.
now
It's
I'm
pretty
reposting
clever,
it.
right?
Merle, this is what convinced you that this is real? Were you convinced? I mean, this doesn't look real at all to me, but I just reposted it. Is this good
Tell
enough
me
for
why it doesn't
everybody
look
here?
real.
This is really
Tell
good
me
enough for
why it doesn't
everybody?
look real.
No.
Tell me
Yeah.
why it
Yeah,
doesn't look real.
Oh man.
Oh, man. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
well,
This is really good enough for everybody here.
It's
If
not
it's good
it's
enough
not
for you
just
guys,
that on
that's
its
fine.
own. It's not just that on
I
its
don't know
own.
why
It's
you
all.
think that's a
It's
slam
not
dunk.
just
I mean,
that.
it's obviously
Fuck,
looking.
dude.
Perspective, stop talking
It's
over
You
everyone.
can mute him. Well,
it's not
you can
just
mute him.
that on its own, mate. It's everything that goes with it and supports it. You don't have that.
And you can't tell us what's wrong with it.
Yeah, what is wrong with it? Why does it not look
You
real?
can't tell us that.
It just.
Do you
It
honestly
just
think that looks
it's
real,
just a
though?
look.
Right?
I
Honestly,
really, if it's good enough for you guys, that's fine.
It
like,
just.
I'm
It just.
kind of shocked that you guys are on board with that.
I don't have to tell you why. I just have to say I don't buy it. That's it.
I'm
That's all
sorry
you
to come in
need
and
to
trigger
know.
everybody, but I have to
Hey,
go.
dude,
That
you're not
was pretty
triggering anybody.
hilarious.
You're not
Yeah, of course
triggering.
you've
You're
got
not
to go, dude.
triggering.
Yeah.
You're not triggering anyway, mate. It's
you've got
quite.
to
You're
go, dude.
humorous,
Yeah.
actually.
He laughed.
You-
He's gone. Good. Fucking dipshit cunt.
He's so dumb.
And
Well, that doesn't
Oh,
look real. I'm not going to say why, but it just doesn't look real.
Why do you want to
He's
be
a fucking
affiliated
mom.
with that, Merle?
it's good enough
Why,
for
Merle?
you.
We've known each other like a really long time.
Doesn't
like,
matter,
when-
Merle. It doesn't matter how long you've known each other. He's an idiot.
Yeah, but we've seen it. Like, we've taken
It's not just
it on
one video
in-
from
Doesn't-
space, though, Merle. It's the
Anymore, Merle.
mountain of evidence, right? You guys have been doing this for how long? You've got no model that works. That should be concerning.
It's not. It's
And
not.
that's just one picture, right? There's millions, there's thousands. There's just like, fucking wake up, man.
Wake
Why
up to
can't-
what?
Every
Why
10
can't you
minutes for years, Merle.
Oh, I thought you
And
were
that
going
collective data.
Very simple.
That collective-
Why can't your simple belief be modeled accurately, Merle?
Well, you guys for some reason need that. Like,
You're
a
not
lot of
answering my
us
question.
been watching
Why
the
can't it be
globe
modeled?
just like crumble.
What's the
That's
obstacle?
small where the eyes are.
What is the
What?
obstacle to accurately modeling your belief of what reality is?
I don't think we're anywhere near close to that, any of us yet.
Wow.
Merle, why can't you
Why not?
model your simple reality?
Because it hasn't got real yet. It's not until it's going to be on fucking
Motherfucker,
TV. with
you've
your
had the dawn of
telling us
manhood
that.
to do it.
Then
Why
people
can't
believe
you?
it, right?
You've
TV
had
tells-
Why can't
You've
you?
had thousands of years.
Hang on.
You've
Nobody
had
gives a
thousands
fuck.
of years,
The
Merle.
question is simply, why can't you? What obstacles are there to laying out a flat Earth?
Just all you have to do is you have to invert one hemisphere because like you can't avoid that.
No.
Once you have
no.
the
No, you're
yes,
running.
yes.
Merle, you're running.
Not
You're
running at
away.
all. A sphere,
Yes.
right? A sphere
Yes.
has two sides, basically, two hemispheres. One's the right way up, the other one isn't. That's a sphere, right?
You're getting caught in the weeds, Mel.
Merle.
It has one side.
Oh my
Merle, let's go
god.
back to
Guys
flat. We're
aren't
not
smart,
talking about
though.
a sphere, Merle. We're talking about flat. Earth is
Yeah, I'm
flat.
saying
You
this is
can't
the
lay it